Hello lovelies, here is my tutorial on my new Brow Tricks mapping rulers. So I'm going to give you 3 examples and then we're also going to do a human example and on a mannequin head. Okay, so how you want to place these rulers, this main T portion, you want to place centered to the nose. So if this is their nose, have this center piece be centered, so that there's also like a line down the center. So just try to have that be pretty much centered here. And then where you want the apex of their arch, the tippy top point of their arch, that's where you want the top portion to be placed, right here. So a lot of times you see these rulers be placed way above the brow up here, not with mine. With mine, you want to place it right along that tippy top part of the arch. Now, this ruler also comes with 3 different arch shapes. So I'm going to show you how to utilize these. So if you look at these brows, this is what I would call a curvy brow. So the curvy shape is not only a little bit curved in here, but curved on the tail. You can utilize half one stencil, half the other. So for example, to get a curvier shape here, but then a more arched shape in the tail. And I'll show you how to do that. But for these brows, I'm gonna show you the curvy shape. So the first thing you want to do is pick your shape that you want to try, and of course you can always switch it out. But so you peel off that sticker. So here is our curvy sticker. So then you want your arch point to be in between these 2 areas and what works best with their natural brow as well as with their eyes. So if the corner of their eye is here, generally you want to do the corner of the eye up be the apex of the arch. And so these little dots here, that's where you would want to go. However, again, you have to consider their natural brow hair in this as well. So as you see, we want to incorporate as much of their natural hair as possible. So because her tail starts to dip down early, the apex of her arch is going to be moved in a little bit. So these dotted lines you want to align with the top of the ruler. So not here, not up, you know, just like this. Now the apex of her arch, if we want it to line this up similarly with her natural hair, so first you do up and down, you know, you get right there to the edge of the ruler, then you decide left or right, and again, this is based on their eye and their natural hair. So I'm gonna move this pretty far in because again, her natural hair is curving down really soon. So I'm actually gonna do it on the innermost option right here. See? Right here. So then step number 2 is you get the same curvy shape, and then you want to align it on the exact same spot on this other side. So on the innermost corner, it's gonna be right here. And we're just gonna put it on the same spot over here. And these are some really crazy messed up brows over here. In real life, it's rare that they're going to be this imbalanced. But also they're really, really far set. Like honestly, when I was drawing these, I probably should have drawn this brow a little further in, but you know, it's what it is. So first thing I'm gonna do is just trace this top arch. So you would do this with your China marker, but I'm just gonna do it with a pen. I'm just tracing the sticker here. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this other side. And after you do this, you may decide to move the sticker a little further in or further out, depending. Now, because her natural hair is here, I don't want to move this sticker any further in. I'm sorry, it could be moved further in, but I definitely don't want to move it any further out. Now with this sticker, a little bit of her natural is coming on the outside, and on this side, a little is coming on the inside. So this is kind of a good happy medium here. So she's gonna have to pluck a tiny bit here and a tiny bit here. But again, if we were to move it too far in or too far out, then we would be working with even less of their natural hair. So now that we have established the top balanced symmetrical line on the top, and again, this is in our curvy shape, we decide how thick we want the brow. So usually I decide that in the center first. So because her natural hair comes down to about here on this side and here on this side, I'm just gonna go ahead and put our line to just like one little dot above the one. So right here, and one little dot above the one here. Then what you want to do is on this other side, do that exact same thing. So one dot above the one here. So you're gonna wanna draw a line here to your tail, and a dot above the one here, draw a line into the tail. Okay, and then you want to establish where you want the beginning of your brow to be. So I'm thinking this, where this natural hair comes here, it's like a 0.5. So we're just going to draw this line down here. And we're going to do the same thing, a 0.5 over here. And again, draw this line outward. Okay, so now we have where our tail point will hit and where our center point will hit. So now we're just going to draw the underneath on each brow. So here, we're going to go like this. I always sketch everything, which is not like, you know, it's the artist in me, but I know sometimes it equals not as perfection as it should, but that's okay. It's just who I am. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. So all you actually have to hand draw with these stencils is this very most inner, inner line, deciding where you want your beginnings to start, and then the underneath line. But it is so much easier to just draw one line on each side. It is just so much easier. It's comical than having to from scratch map out an entire brow. And I'm just gonna lightly fill this in so you can see this shape a little better. And again, I'm not doing this in like a hair stroke pattern or anything. I'm just filling in the space just so that you can see the shape. Okay, so here is our first shape, and this is curvy. And again, you determine how thick you want the brows to be, as long as it's level on both the starting and the end of the brow. So the head and the tail. So you can get all sorts of customization shape-wise with this. So there is our example brow number 1. Okay, now on to our next set. So again, height-wise, up or down. I'm gonna do this a lot faster, like how I would in real life. Up or down would be like here is where we want the apex of our arch, and left or right, our nose is gonna be right here, so that's where we'll be. So we're just gonna set this on down. And on a human face, make sure that this is level on this outside edge. It's really easy for this to curve down. So just make sure that that's level. And I can tell you right now that she could either be a smooth shape or an arch shape. So I'm just going to peel off this sticker here, and we're just going to decide what would be better for their brow shape. So we can look at this. And if we move this on the interior edge, actually I think this could be a really good shape if it comes in like this. So let's go ahead and do this as a smooth. And so again, line the dots with the top of this, and then we're going to have this come in to where we're working in as much of the natural hair as possible. So we'll go right about here, and that is actually further in than my recommendation. But as you see, it's just because her hair grows so far down. So here's our mark point. It's like right at the 3. So we'll just copy this on over. It's right at the 3 over here. And again, just aligning the dots with the bottom of the ruler. And then we'll go ahead and draw this shape here. See, and in real life, this is one of those super scary situations where you do not want to end up with a double tail, but you don't want to give them a shape that is like awful, right? So this is one of those, like, you want to get it as very humanly close to their natural as possible. And then you're gonna draw where their hair starts, which is here. So draw that into the center, and it's like right in between these two here. So over onto this other side, just right in between these two. We'll draw that out. So you draw your center line, and then again, so it's like 1, 2.5 up from 1. So go over here. And we are 1, 2.5 up from 1. So like right here. So then draw that inward. One, 2.5 up from 1, draw that inward. Okay, so, and then all we have to do, now that we have our measuring mark where it will start, stop, so head, tail, and you have the whole top line finished, we just have to draw out this brow. So, another little trick, by the way, is you can use this shape. This is actually the curvy underneath, but you can actually use one of these shapes to help you draw the bottom, just like this. Isn't that cool? So except for the tail, you have to kind of just do that very tail yourself, just like that. And then draw it over. And we'll just do the same thing over here. And I'm actually using, again, the curvy shape for this guy. So I'm just placing this right here. I did on the other side. This one is, I didn't place on super straight. Sorry, one second. Okay. So then we're just going to place this the exact same spot over here. Got that a little too far down. like super close. There we go. And then just, there we go. And then do the same thing over here. And then again, we just have to get that tail crisp. Perfect. Then I'll fill in the shape, just like I did with the other brows. And you can have them start a little further out if you would like. You can create completely custom shapes with these stencils. That's the difference. It's not one shape only. You use this as a system to still create a completely custom mapping and customize to their face. Okay, now I'll just take off this little bottom piece here. Oh my goodness. It's harder on a piece of paper than it is on a human skin. So as you see, we try to work with their natural hair as much as possible, but they would have to pluck this. If you wanted them to try to work in more of that natural hair, here is your option. You could actually go with an arched shape. See this? Do, 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 and see how this tail, oops. I am not getting this straight. There we go. So what you could actually do is do an arch shape, and you'd still have to move this in further in. Hang on. Basically get this semi lined up with their hair here, which would be about here. There we go. And that would give us a more arched tail. I'll show you this line here. It'd be like here. So part of this, is picking the right shape and the right stencil shape to work in as much of their natural brow hair as possible. So again, this beginning part would have been a little bit more dipped. And so in that aspect, like, you would have lost a little bit of the arch shape because of her natural hair here, but what you actually were microblading would be here. But for the tail, we could have gone with an arch shape to try to incorporate a little more of that hair. And then the shape would have changed just about like this. But however far down this comes, and this tail now comes all the way down to a 1, you want to make sure that on the other side you come down to that same level. So then her fronts would have to dip here. So this would have been the shape. So hopefully you can kind of see the differences by using one shape. So again, this is the arched, and then this would be the smooth. All right, there's our brow example number 2. Okay, so here's our brow number 3. So again, first align with the apex of the arch, and you can see that this brow is a lot higher. So you're gonna want to do as far down as possible, maybe cutting off just a little bit of that hair so that we can try to get some semblance of symmetry. So we're gonna go right here. And again, you can see there's a handful of her hairs that come above, but because of how low this tail is, that's why we're gonna wanna do that. And then this is a trick I love to do. You can take these stickers off, these ones, and put it over the brow to try to figure out which shape is going to be best. So you can just stick this right over the brow itself. So here's our smooth, and that actually fits this brow really well. So let's go ahead and look at how the smooth looks on this brow. Not too shabby, but you can see that that tail is gonna be really thick. So either you can do this shape and it would look lovely, but they would have to pluck away a fair amount of those hairs on this right side. Or let's try out a more arched shape and see how that looks. I think this is going to be better for this client. So it's going to be sitting straight like here. So it is going to dip down a little bit with these head strokes, but that'll just kind of give a little bit of a fluffiness. So let's go ahead and go with our arch shape. So I'll just take these off. Grab our arched, and let's start with this like tougher brow over here, right? So because working in as much of this hair over here as possible is going to be important. So again, up and down, get these lined up, and then left or right. We're going to try to work in as much of that hair as possible. So we're going to have this sit right in here. Boop. And so then we're just going to mark that mark. So it's 2 in from 4. Get the same spot over here. 2 in from 4 would be right here. And then you're just gonna line up these dots right here. And then line these dots up with the bottom of the ruler. There we go. So we'll just draw this. Same thing over here. And that's how you can get your beginning shape. Now, another option I was telling you guys about is how you can do from this spot, from the apex outward, you can do one shape. So for example, arched. And then from the apex inward, you can actually do another shape. So we're gonna go ahead and do that with these brows. So I'm gonna peel these off. Sorry, I'm wiggling the paper all over crazy. Okay, and now we're gonna grab our smooth shape and align this apex with where it needs to be. So right here. And then we're going to draw from this line inward, just like this. And this would be a smooth beginning and an arched tail. And then we'll just do the same thing over here. At our apex, set that down. And again, smooth beginning. And now we have a, oh, sorry. This is just not 100%. There we go. My dots were a little above where they should be. Okay, sorry. So, smooth beginning. And then you stop at the apex so it has an arched tail. Okay, now, however far down this tail comes, so we're gonna look at this over here, and if you just draw a line outward, it's like basically right at the 1. So that's where our head brow, the head of our brow needs to start. So here also, and same thing with this at a 1. So then we're going to, you could do a curvy shape, you could do a arch shape, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna do a smoother shape here. Okay, now, and this is a pretty thick brow. If you wanted to do a thinner brow, here's what you would do. You would take this up 2 lines, just like this. And then therefore this could come up 2 lines as well. And then you do the exact same shape. Or you could have this come up and be a little more arched. But you just have to make sure, do you see the two different shapes there? But I'll go ahead and fill in this thicker shape. But you just have to make sure that the brow is starting and stopping at the same points. The tail and the head. And that's why we have these awesome measuring marks on the inner and the outer side of these stencils. So, and then on this other side, I'll go ahead and show you what a thinner brow option would be. So, again, I'm just gonna have this come up 1 little line here and 1 little line here. And then I'm actually gonna draw a really more arched shape just to show you the differences that you can get. Okay. So 100% custom shapes still. These just help you get symmetry. So again, both these 2 brows have the smooth for the first section and then the arched for the tail. 100% custom brow. This is just a thinner version. This is a thicker version. And I will move this so you can see. But we're keeping our proportions and our symmetry on point. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps.